Welcome to the Matt Reiser Radio Show on the Southeastern Sports Radio Network. Now, live from Buddy's Bar and Grill in Hammond, here's Alan Waddell.
After a couple of speed bumps in the midweek, your Southeastern Baseball Lions won their third consecutive Southland Conference Series as they pushed their conference record to 7-2. We are essentially at the midpoint of the season, and Southeastern currently sits at 19-8 overall with a ton of baseball to play against some big-time opponents. Tomorrow night, Southeastern will welcome the Tulane Green Wave to Hammond. Then the Lions will head west to take on last year's regular season champs, the McNeese State Cowboys in Lake Charles for a Thursday, Friday, Saturday series. Good evening, Lion fans. I'm Alan Waddell, and I want to welcome you to the Matt Reiser Radio Show presented by North Oaks Health Systems, live from our home, Buddy's Bar and Grill, right here in Hammond. Thank you so much for joining us, wherever you may be tonight, whether on the Lions Radio Network or watching the archive right there on Facebook. We'll be with you until 8 o'clock tonight, and over the next hour, we'll get Coach Reiser's thoughts on this past week and look ahead to this week's slate of games. But first, let's take a break. When we come back, I'll be joined by the head baseball coach of your Southeastern Lions, Matt Reiser. The Matt Reiser Radio Show is presented by North Oaks Health System and Buddy's Bar and Grill on the Southeastern Sports Radio Network.
America's pastime. 12 players drafted in the Reiser era. 2 Southland Conference championships. Back-to-back at-large regionals. Coming off a strong finish in 2017, another intense season is on the horizon, featuring a gauntlet of non-conference home games. New season, same goal. Don't miss out on any of the action.
What does it mean to be Southland strong?
It's not just big wins.
It's success in the classroom
and being engaged with service,
family, passion,
integrity,
overcoming adversity,
hard work and dedication,
bettering people around you,
striving for excellence,
leadership and competition
on our campuses
and in our communities.
We are Southland Strong.
All right, welcome back here to Buddy's Bar and Grill in Hammond. I'm Alan Waddell. Thank you so much for joining us. This is the Matt Reiser Radio Show, and at this time we're going to welcome to the podium, to the table up here with me, the head baseball coach of your Southeastern Lions, Coach Matt Reiser. Coach, thanks for being here tonight. Took 2 out of 3 this past weekend against Houston Baptist. We're going to talk about the whole week. I know you had a couple of speed bumps there in the midweek, but we're able to rebound on the weekend and move your conference record to 7-2.
Yeah, like the song I just played, Feel Good. That's a lot better after this weekend. Sunday made things a little bit better after that midweek mishap there. Obviously, we went over to Mobile and played a good South Alabama bunch. Maybe put us in a funk Wednesday night. It's one of those that you want back. But when you look back at the year, there's always 4 or 5 games that can go one way or the other. We've got 3 or 4 of these now here early in the season that, boy, we really would like to have back. And obviously, there's going to be one there on Wednesday night, but you got to move forward. I thought the guys did a good job Thursday. We had a nice little conversation, probably one of the best team meetings we've had in my career here, to be honest with you. It was an ownership meeting we had. The guys had to say some things in front of each other, had to own up to some things, and I really enjoyed the conversations that we had in that meeting because I think that helped us go this weekend and kind of hit the reset button to take a big series against a good Houston Baptist club, a club that swept us last year at their place. It swept Sam Houston, who was in the Super Regional last year, at their place as well. So we had a little bit of payback and also got back and got a good weekend to keep that conference record up there and keep us in the running for the conference championship.
Matt, one thing about college baseball that I think is so much different than a lot of the other collegiate sports is that the season is so long. There's so many games, and one of the things that a good program does, good teams does, is you don't have all these peaks and valleys where you're not high and then low, and how you try to stay right there in the middle. And I know that going into last week's show, we sat here and said, hey, you won 9 out of 10. You were playing really well. You dropped a couple of games in the midweek, Tuesday, Wednesday this week. But it was nice to see your team rebound and not stay in some type of funk through the weekend and really rebound against Houston Baptist.
Yeah, I saw a quote this week. It was pretty neat, talking about adversity. Bad teams can't handle adversity. Good teams get through it, and great teams thrive off of it. And I thought we did a good job. Obviously, there was some adversity there in the midweek, and, most people looking at it, after the Jack State loss, obviously we felt a little funky, but just looking at overall, hey man, you're still in great shape. You've won 68% of your games, whatever it may be. You've got a good record. There's nothing going on. No, there's some things we had to clean up, and there's still some things that we're in the process of cleaning up. And, we're going to mix and match that lineup a little bit this week with Tulane tomorrow and also McNeese this weekend. But for the guys to get back in the saddle and do what they did this weekend, I think that shows the signs that also we were handling adversity, handle it well, and we'll see how we handle it going forward. But we're definitely a good team. We'll see if we can make that adversity into a great team.
Matt, if you look at the scores, especially in the first 4 ball games of this past week, offensively struggled a little bit. I know you just mentioned maybe mixing up the lineup, but you look at South Al, only scored 1 run, only 3 against Jackson State, 4 on Friday night against Houston Baptist, and then 4 again on Saturday. And this has been a pretty good offensive club to start out the 2018 campaign. I guess your thoughts on what happened those 4 games. I know you're going to have times of the year where you maybe struggle a little bit offensively, but to do it 4 times in a row like that, maybe a little concerning.
Not really. It's one of those deals. We just got to get back into focus and a plan. And in all honesty, when people look at Jackson State game, like, man, I'll get beat by Jackson State. We really didn't play that bad. It didn't feel like one of the games where even the UConn series or the Sacred Heart game is one of those games we just couldn't really do anything offensively. Scored 3 runs early, and after that had our chances and just couldn't do anything. We pitched it pretty decent. We played defense pretty well until the very end. It was just kind of one of those games you didn't score any runs. When you don't score runs, it's hard to just kind of beat people, and then you put them in the right moment. They feel the right swag at home. They scored 2 runs in the 9th inning to beat you. So, offensively, we've got to be able to do some things a little bit more. We got to play a little bit more execution baseball. The runner at third's got to start getting in with less than 2 outs. We're running the bases and stealing bags, leading the country stealing bases, but we've got to continue to make sure that we obviously, when we're putting ourselves in a situation, the reason we're stealing bags is to help out the hitters, not to hit a pop-up in the infield, runner at third, less than 2 outs. It's to, hey, that ground ball gets him in or the sac fly gets him in instead of just being a fly out or ground out. So they just got to do a little bit more better job of executional hitting.
Matt, if you look at the season so far, you had 27 games to this point. I mentioned it in the open. You're essentially right around halfway. You're about halfway of the season right now, and you have 8 losses on the season. You're 19 and 8 at this point of the year. I do got to ask you, out of 8 of those losses, you've lost 3 of those games in the 9th inning.
Right.
Is that concerning at all? I know we're about halfway. I know that you've really been kind of mixing and matching the back end of the game. But again, 3 losses this early in the 9th inning. I'm sure that's something that you and your staff are talking about.
Yeah, and there's been so many close ball games that we've played in. You could very easily say the flip side with, like the Tulane game last week, the UNO game last week.
Yeah.
Those are games that we won, and when you play a lot of tight ball games like that, some are going to go your way and some won't. So it's easy to reflect and say, hey, man, you lost a lot of one-run ball games in the 9th inning. We've also won some of those games as well. But I think part of that is figuring out our identity in the bullpen, in all honesty. With moving out Josh Green out of the bullpen role into the starting role, we knew there'd be a few hiccups there early. Really need to get Evan Howman back to his form. That was the thinking, the process behind making that move was that, obviously Stump would be the veteran for us back there. He looked much better in his outing at South Alabama, looked more like Stump, the Stump we're used to. Hopefully he's getting back more confident in what he's doing because I know he's really working hard to try to do that for us. But we just don't have a guy really. We're kind of just playing the in-hand game, you know what I mean? If we feel like we like the matchup, feel like it's the right moment to face the right hitter, lefty, righty, changeup, slider, whatever it may be, we're kind of staying there. So that's going to be some of the inconsistency there, obviously late in ball games as well. I think the biggest thing we got to do is got to do a better job of playing defense there late in ball games. That was a few of the ones there early, and also I think they got us this week as well.
When you look at the week overall, and we're going to break down each one of these games to talk about pitcher performances, guys that swung the bat well in each one of those games. And really the one, you've brought it up a couple of times, is the Jackson State game. And I know you've mentioned it, though. This was a good team. I mean, they have a good record. They're 14-6. Right. So it's not like this is a 4-20 team that you dropped the game to. It happened. You went up there. You led the entire game. You got away there in the 9th with a couple of young arms. But certainly that is a game that you could see your team go one way or the other. Maybe kind of hang their heads and not respond on the weekend. But I thought you responded nicely and came out with. And you mentioned earlier, Josh Green came out and gave you a really nice start on Friday night to kind of get it heading back in the right direction.
It really was, man. We needed Josh Green to be his self. He had a really nice outing, I think, there the week before against Lamar. But I'll be honest with you, that Houston Baptist outing was probably the most dominant outing I've seen him in. It looked like the closer we had a few years ago, the one that was so confident in every pitch he was throwing and just the amount of conviction he's throwing his pitches with. He wasn't trying to conserve. It was one of those deals. It looked like he went out there and just tried to give us everything. Hey, coach, it's the 9th inning. I'm going to pitch like it, and went full blast at it. And all of a sudden you look up after 7 innings of baseball, and he had pitched really well. 8 innings of baseball, actually. He had pitched really, really well for us, and we needed that. That's what we need in those moments of adversity. We need a guy to step up, whether it's on the mound or whether it's offensively or defensively. You need a guy to step up and kind of take the bull by the horns and kind of lead the club in the right way. But that's also why Josh Green got 38 of all 38 votes in the fall for team captain, and that's why he's on Friday night. You put the horse up there, let him go do his deal, and get you back right on track. And really pleased with his outing there on Friday night.
No doubt about it. Schedule for this week, Lions will host Tulane tomorrow night at the Pat, and then this weekend, because of Easter, they're going to play Thursday, Friday, Saturday, as they're going to be on the road and Lake Charles to take on the East State Cowboys. Let's go ahead and get to a break, and when we come back, we're going to get Matt's thoughts on all of these games from this past week. We'll start looking ahead of this week as we're going to catch you up on all that's going on inside Lion baseball right here on the Matt Riser Radio Show, presented by North Oaks Health System and Buddy's Bar and Grill on the Southeastern Sports Radio Network.
Across divisions, sports, championships, and schools for nearly 500,000 student-athletes. College sports create lifelong opportunity, and that starts with education. We've raised the academic bar, so more are earning degrees, creating healthier campuses by working with the nation's brightest minds, and making sure more have the chance to succeed and are supported on their journey. But beyond the numbers, it's about opportunity, and we're working to provide it for every student-athlete.
Welcome back inside Buddy's Bar and Grill. This is the Matt Roger Radio Show. I'm Alan Waddell. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to be with you until 8 o'clock. Special guest in the house, former Lion great Cole Catalano, sitting up there at the bar having a nice something to eat.
It's got to be the bone-in pork.
He loves that pork chop here from Buddy's, no doubt about it. He just said great pork chop. Matt, let's kind of catch everybody up where we're at. Lions right now currently sitting at 19-8 overall, 7-2 in the Southland Conference. Have winners of all 3 of their Southland Conference series to this point. Had won 9 out of their last 10. Went into this week, had a couple of speed bumps there in the midweek. We're going to kind of break down each one of these games, give Matt a chance to comment on the games, and then we're going to look ahead to this week. Lions have a busy schedule once again. Tulane will be in town tomorrow night, and then the Lions will take their show on the road this weekend for a Thursday, Friday, Saturday series against the McNeese State Cowboys in Lake Charles as they prepare for Easter. Matt, going into last week's show, we talked about the success your program has had against South Alabama. This was a team that was preseason top 25. They have one of the top players in the country, and Travis Swaggerty, who's a local product, and I think you beat these guys 8 out of the last 9 times. So you've had a lot of success against South Alabama, but offensively just really couldn't get it going over there on Tuesday night.
Yeah, in all honesty, on Tuesday night, that was a club ready to get after us. Obviously, I think they were well aware of the streak that we'd had going against them, and in all honesty, they had a little bit more grit to them that night. The left-hander came out and was a freshman last year who we had beat in the midweek and had some success with in Arguelles. And, actually, if you looked at numbers, man, he had not pitched real well in the season. It was kind of maybe a last moment for him to, hey, this is just kind of your last shot. If you don't go do it against Southeastern, maybe, you don't pitch again the rest of the year type deal, because he was pitching with some attitude. And then we didn't really match it. We didn't do a good job in a plan or approach. He came in the game, I think, with 9 walks and 6 strikeouts and 6 innings or something like that, 8 innings of work. And we went and swung at a bunch of balls out the zone and just really wasn't focused with a plan. The wind's blowing in, so we kept swinging at the high fastball and just popping it up, and had a lot of infield pop-ups in the midweek series that we didn't do a good job of getting a plan, which we had done such a good job the week before against Lamar. Also he had a lot of success with us in the 5 innings that he pitched, and didn't play defense right. We come out there, we kick a few balls there in the first inning, and kind of Corey does a good job of eliminating a huge situation there in the first. We limit them to only 1 run there in the first, but again, just didn't play good defense, and then fell behind Swaggerty, man. Swaggerty's a good hitter. He got a 2-0 count, and he hit one to the moon and back to kind of give him that big lead, and then offensively we just could never get anything going.
Matt, one of the themes I just kind of hear coming out of your mouth the last couple of weeks is defense.
Yep.
Defense. You made a few errors in this game 3. I know that's been a concern for you at this point, and I guess what's being done to correct that? I mean, what's the plan?
Defensively we haven't been really good, and part of that's being just so spoiled in the outfield the last few years. I think part of that's been cleaned up with Trent Trosclair. Been a really nice addition to the lineup, and we talked about it. He's
swinging the bat as well.
That's where I'm going with this. This is a young man who got an opportunity after an injury to Mike Taylor to get out there and obviously switch the energy, take the leadership role. But originally coming in the season, he was going to be a defensive replacement. And he won us the ball game, in all honesty, on Sunday. He had some really good at-bats there early. I know we ended up scoring 8 runs, but I think he manufactured the first 3 in his at-bats with a solo home run and a 2-out RBI, and just had some really good moments there, made a really heck of a defensive play. So I think the outfield play has been cleaned up from early in the season. I think that's been a huge addition, having Trent Trosclair out there for us. So I think we're going the right direction on that one. Now it's the infield defense, and we're going to start Trey Harrington tomorrow night against Tulane there at third base. Who's been really defensive for us. He's a defensive replacement we use late. He's probably played in 16 or 17 ball games this year as a defensive replacement. He'll get his first collegiate start tomorrow night against the Green Wave at third base there for us.
Lions dropped that game on Tuesday night to South Alabama. They will have an opportunity to redeem that loss. The Jaguars will come to Hammond on May the 15th, the last midweek game of the year. That's a Tuesday night later on in May, as South Alabama will come back to town. Matt, Wednesday night you went over and took on Jackson State. Again, we talked about this one a little bit earlier. Just really couldn't ever get anything offensively going. Got it going early, and then just kind of leveled off. And they had that inning there in the ninth where struggled with some command with a couple of guys on the mound, and let that one get away from us a little bit.
Yeah, again, maybe one of those. And I warned them on Tuesday with South Al after the game that we're going to play a pretty good Jackson State club. I mean, their record obviously shows that in the 14-6 record, and actually swept this weekend, I believe as well. So now they're 17-6 overall in the year.
Good club.
It's not just a push me over game. So, and then you go into a different environment. It's not a hostile environment like we were in at MGM where you got 3,000 people there yelling and screaming, and most of them are screaming against you. It's one of those lull you to sleep type environments. There's not a whole lot of people in the stands. It's just not the same amenities that we're used to playing in, but that shouldn't be an excuse. You got to go up there and play no matter where at. We talk about it all the time. I don't care where or when or who we're playing. When they say strap it on and play, we need to go do our business. And we got off to an okay start there early offensively. Drew Ravens had a few good at-bats for us early in the game that ended up causing end up leading to a couple runs there. But, when you play Jack State in the midweek, they're going to run out their weekend arms or throw their bullpens against you. I thought we had some opportunities there in the third, fourth, fifth inning, to be honest with you, against some of their back-end bullpen guys that we just didn't do a real good job with. And all of a sudden you start looking at it, it starts getting to be a close ball game, and their guys start running out. The closer starts running out there for them. The two weekend guys start running out there for them as well. So you got to go do a good job of extending the lead when you can, and we didn't. And then obviously that bit there in the ninth inning. I thought Schaefer was rolling there. He got rolled out, got 6 outs pretty quickly there in the first 2 innings. And like we said, we're kind of closing by committee right now. I think we got 8 or 9 saves, but I think 6 different guys have saves for us right now. So we're trying to just play the matchup. And Schaefer was actually facing a right-hander. We felt like he could have gotten out. He ended up walking the guy. They sack him up, and then faced another right-hander who only had 7 at-bats all year. Chafe's only given up 3 hits all year to right-handers. He doesn't give up hits. That's not what he does. So we felt pretty comfortable about him, but he left the pitch up. You got to tip your hat to their guy. He did a good job of hitting a line drive to left field, scoring the guy from second base. And then obviously after that, it was kind of just try to hold on and get us to extras, and we couldn't do it. We ended up throwing a cork on the wild pitch there to lose the ball game 4-3 at Jackson State, but that's what happens when you don't extend the lead against a decent team.
We touched on this earlier. Houston Baptist came to town. This is a team that, if you remember, last year we had a good team, real good team, and they swept us over there in Houston. I know you mentioned that last week.
Yeah, 6-0 against regional opponents in our conference between us and Sam.
Yeah, unbelievable. So this is a good Houston Baptist team. They were in a regional a couple of years ago when they won the Southland Conference tournament, so they have some postseason experience as well. They always have good players. Where they're at geographically, they're going to be able to get some good players.
Right.
And Josh Green really set the tone for the weekend. And we've seen him have some really good starts. We've seen him have maybe a little shaky starts because we're trying to feel him out there as the Friday night starter, and he's coming from a closer role, and he's getting used to starting every time. But he was dominant on Friday against, and we'll see that when we talk about Saturday's game, against a good hitting lineup in Houston Baptist.
Yeah, really did a good job. And like you said, now we're kind of getting more into the season now to where this should be routine for him. He's gotten used to the starting and the pitch count and the week break and the bullpen in the midweek and all that kind of stuff. So I'm pretty much not guaranteeing, but you should see a lot more of this as we go along, the consistency of Josh Green in that starting role. And also he had another fantastic outing back up from Lamar last week. But, again, like we talked about it, we were hitting a little adversity there in the middle of the week with those 2 losses. And, I'll be honest with you, part of this, too, is we've played a lot of baseball here lately.
Yeah, no doubt.
We've played 5-game weeks in the last 3 weeks and haven't had a break. And in that, the problem is you don't have time to practice. You don't have time to do sim games and get some guys on the mound because you might have to use them in the game to win. You don't have time to get guys some ABs. So, maybe part of that was running that fuse a little low there in our energy. But Josh Green obviously revived that there on Friday with his outing. He went a strong 8 innings for us and really wanted to finish that ball game off. And I told him he can get that baseball at the end of the year. He does that in the conference championship game, then he can have the baseball in the ninth to finish that thing off. So went to Biddy. There's another save for another guy there. We like going Biddy behind Josh Green there. We just like the matchup from the sinker ball guy to what Biddy does as an arm for us as well. And he brings the right energy, and he's obviously the right competitor. So he rolls out there and has a nice, quiet ninth inning for us to get a good 4-1 win.
Matt, how have you been impressed with Josh's ability to go deep in games? I mean, I think that's one of the concerns when you go from a reliever to a starter is how deep is he going to be able to get in games? And the last couple of weeks he's gone pretty deep and went 8 innings, but he was economical, only 87 pitches in those 8 innings.
You hit the nail on the head, the pitch count, man, and you do that, and also he tied the season total or set a season total high of strikeouts in the game with 7. So when you do that in 87 pitches, obviously he had a lot of swings, a lot of early contact, but was able to finish off some guys as well, which he hasn't done to date. And again, you could just see the stuff come out of his hand that it was up a tick. It was a lot better. He was a lot more comfortable and had a lot more maintained through the entire game than what he has had in the previous weeks.
Matt, one thing I know about baseball is anytime you think you got it figured out, it kind of usually bites you. And, the one thing that early on in this year that you could pretty much bank on was that Carlisle Kessler was going to go out there and give you a good start. He's been dominant through the season so far. He dominated UL Lafayette. He dominated LSU. He's been dominating his conference weekends, had a sub-1 ERA. And Saturday, he just didn't have it. And Houston Baptist was able to put some good swings on it. The wind was blowing out. It was a great day to hit. And they were good offensively on Saturday. Yeah,
they came out a little attitude on Saturday. They were a little upset after Friday night, obviously what Josh Green and Biddy had done to them. And, they came out with really just a different intent. You could see it in their BP. You could see it in the first couple of innings and their at-bats off Carlisle. They did a good job of getting a really good swing off and up counts, but then when they got the 2 strikes, they'd cut down and just try to hit a backside liner to get some guys on base and really locked in. And like I said, Carlisle, look, you're not going to always have your stuff, your best stuff. It's going to happen some days. You just got to find a way to kind of muster through it. And unfortunately, he wasn't able to do that there on Saturday. But, I don't think there's any worries there. Just one of those days you chalk up as a bad day. They beat us in every facet, and you got to tip your hat to the Houston Baptist because they swung the bat better than us. They played unbelievable defense. They made play after play. I know the left-hander carried a no-hitter into the 5th inning, but I swear they made 4 or 5 plays there. Thought we did a good job maybe in the first inning or 2 of being an approach and having a plan and getting some good contact on some baseballs. But, man, they just kept making plays. The right fielder hit the 2 homers, makes a diving catch out in right field in the first, and the third baseman who's in there, makes a diving play in the hole early in the game, and then we kind of got away from that a little bit, and then we put ourselves back in the game plan. We get ourselves back in the game. It's now 6-3. It's like, okay, here come the Lions. We're ready. You can feel the momentum starting to switch, and we just went back out there and didn't pitch it very well on the back end of that. So, unfortunately, that one got away from us there on Saturday, but it was one of those talks after the game. It was pretty simple, man. Hey, Sundays, you bring your hard hat day. You got to bring some energy on Sunday. Everybody has the mandated day off, and for everybody it's on that Monday, with classes and whatnot, because a lot of people play Tuesday, Wednesday, and you want to practice Thursday before you go into a weekend set. So, it's been a long week. You started playing on Tuesday, and you hadn't had a day off since Monday. You had to Sunday. It's your energy versus theirs. How much more mentally tougher can you make yourself than them? You've got to grind and grind and grind on them. And even when you're down, right, 10-3, I think is what we were down in the 9th inning, you just got to keep grinding on some at-bats, man. Just get some other guys to the plate. Just let them know it's not going to be an easy weekend physically or mentally for them. And I think part of what we did on Saturday in the last inning there, we had the bases loaded. We scored a run, right? It's 10-4. One swing of the bat, it's 10-8. All of a sudden, they really sort of start panicking. They actually brought in the closer for a 10-3 ball game. So it shows you how much pressure was being put on them to get guys out. There you go. And Drew Avens coming up on deck. So you just got to keep grinding those bats. Even on your bad days, you just got to keep competing. I thought the guys did a good job of that. We didn't just give in to it and say, oh, well, we got our behinds kicked. We'll pick it back up tomorrow. We did a good job there late in the ball game in the 9th inning of affecting what Sunday's momentum was going to be. And we talked about it after the game. Now bring that energy into Sunday. You got to out-energize them from the dugout to on the field to in the box. You just got to out-grit them. And I thought we did a fantastic job of that on Sunday.
All right, let's talk about Sunday. Cade Grenier, maybe his best start as a Lion. I mean, he was outstanding. I mean, he's had some really good performances here. He was so good a couple of years ago in that closer role, carried a 0 ERA all the way into the last weekend of the season. It battled some injuries a year ago. He's had some good starts, but I don't know if he's ever had one as good as this. 7 innings pitched, 9 strikeouts, only gave up 3 hits, 102 pitches, no walks. He did hit 1 batter, but outstanding performance by Cade Grenier.
Yeah, it was one of those after Saturday. You go to a veteran and tell him, hey, man, you've been here 4 years. Tomorrow we got to have it. You got to dial it up. We've been a little conservative with Cade. Obviously, here early in the season, we talked about we're going to use his bullets as the year goes along. That was one of those bullets we really had to have on Sunday. It was one of those, hey, man, it was a bad midweek. We lost 2. 1 we probably shouldn't have for sure. But, an hour into the weekend, we've got to have your best performance of probably your career tomorrow. I need you to show up and just dial one up for us. And boy, did he ever! You talk about a veteran answering the bell. Some guys look at that as pressure. Competitors look at that as enjoyment. They enjoy those moments. Coach, I appreciate you putting that on me. I'll take that and I'll run with it. I'll promise you, I'll give you your best effort tomorrow. And boy, did he ever! He had that slider working. He had the fastball working, and really just kind of set a tone for us. And we talked about it. Just keep grinding and grinding and grinding. And I told the guys, if you grind through the entire week and grind through the weekend, eventually that thing's going to blow open. And we were up 3-0 there in the 7th inning. Still a decently tight ball game, right? The wind's still blowing out. So, we saw what Houston Baptist did the day before. They can score runs pretty quickly. And finally, we hit that release valve. We scored 5 runs there in the bottom of the 7th. It blew open just like we discussed. And I think a lot of that was just the mental fortitude that we had to do a good job of just wearing and tearing on that ball club until the very end.
All right, Lions 18-9 overall, 7-2 in the Southland Conference. Let's go ahead and take a break. We come back. We're going to get Matt to talk about the upcoming schedule this week. As just a reminder as well, we will have questions for Coach Reiser. If you have any questions for him, you can tweet them into us, and we'll give you all that information when we come back. Right here on the Matt Reiser Radio Show, presented by North Oak Health System and Buddy's Bar and Grill on the Southeastern Sports Radio Network.
America's pastime. 12 players drafted in the Reiser era. 2 Southland Conference championships. Back-to-back at-large regionals. Coming off a strong finish in 2017, another intense season is on the horizon, featuring a gauntlet of non-conference home games. New season, same goal. Don't miss out on any of the action.
What does it mean to be Southland strong?
It's not just big wins.
It's success in the classroom.
And being engaged with service.
Family.
Passion.
Integrity.
Overcoming adversity.
Hard work and dedication.
Bettering people around you.
Striving for excellence.
Leadership and competition.
On our campuses.
And in our communities.
We are Southland strong.
All right, welcome back here to the Matt Reiser Radio Show, live from Buddy's Bar and Grill here in Hammond. I think this is our, how many years in a row we've been here? 4 years?
5.
I think 5 years.
5 years.
Scott Henderson sitting in the back. They do such a great job here at Buddy's. Thank you so much for being our host each and every year for, I know, a big supporter of yours, Matt Reiser here for Southeastern. And, Matt, I think Sunday I saw a press release today from Damon, 175 wins on your young career.
Yeah, Damon, when we start counting my quarters,
yeah, I know.
I like the big bills. Count by the hundreds.
Yeah, 175
wins.
wins for Matt in his young career here at Southeastern. As I think I also saw that you have the 4th highest winning percentage in the Southland Conference history.
Yeah, there's a few asterisks next to those because I think Latham's got a few of those wins for my vacation last year.
Oh yeah. We were just talking about that in the Lions currently sitting at 18-9 overall, 7-2 in the Southland Conference. And Matt, tomorrow night, the Tulane Green Wave is going to roll in here. I know you mentioned earlier a couple of maybe some lineup changes. You're going to start Trey Harrington at third base. Who's going to go on the mound for you? You beat Tulane earlier this year down there in New Orleans. How many times in a row have we beaten Tulane? You corrected me last time.
Yeah, I forget. Five
Five in a row. Yeah, I think I said 3, and you hit me and said it's 5.
Yeah.
But the Lions have had some success against Tulane. But, hey, this is always a very tough matchup. And it was a really sloppy game down there in New Orleans last time. A really kind of a crazy game. I think it was 13-12. But you're able to get the win. Talk about tomorrow night's game plan.
Yeah, the Green Wave come in off the opening conference series against Cincinnati where they took 2 out of 3. They lost one there on Sunday for the sweep, and then they got beat 1-0. But, a club that we know that can swing it. They're going to start one of their arms, actually a Heartland JUCO transfer who actually played with Cody Gross last year at Heartland. Just look at the numbers, looks like he throws strikes for the most part. But, we'll start Mason Knopp. He's been really good in his last 2 outings. I think the numbers reflect more of the way he's pitched as opposed to early season numbers. I thought he pitched better than what his numbers actually were. But we'll start Mason Knopp tomorrow night and kind of go from there with it. The lineup change will swing a little bit. I'm trying to mix and match of the top of the order, the middle of the order, bottom of the order. Just trying to, change it up a little bit. The last week was a tough week for us offensively, and I think we got some guys that are coming along. I think some guys need some opportunities. We've got some – I tell you, the freshman class we've got, I've been very pleased with. And that's the one thing, I guess, maybe silver lining in some of that stuff from Saturday is, 1, I thought we competed to the very end. But 2, I did get some freshmen in there, and I thought some of those guys actually had some decent at-bats for us. I thought they did a good job of handling their own. So they'll get some more of those opportunities. We talk about all the time. We don't know when those opportunities will arise, but when they do, you take advantage of them and you stay in there. It's pretty simple. It's not a complicated math formula here that if you have success when you get your opportunity, then you stay in the lineup. So some of those guys get some of those opportunities. We'll see where it goes. Let's see if we can pitch it and play a little bit of defense tomorrow night, and then also offensively if we can execute and score some runs.
I think they got some promotions going on tonight. I think they're going to have some fireworks at the Pat. Let me see if I can give the details here. As it is a 6 o'clock first pitch at Pat Keneally Diamond at Alumni Field. Let me get to this. It's fireworks at the Pat, 6 o'clock first pitch. The release says, come enjoy some Lion baseball and fireworks at the Pat as the Lions take on Tulane. Also, Southeastern faculty and staff will receive a discounted ticket rate. Also, when the Lions score 4 runs, everyone's a winner. Buy one, get one free, courtesy of Raising Cane's. So it's a Raising Cane's challenge.
So we have to score 4 runs.
Got to score 4 runs.
Have to score
no
4.
pressure.
Yep.
So got to score some runs there tomorrow night. But they always do a nice job with the promotions. And I tell you, if you haven't been to a game this year, but due to by looking at the attendance, you have been. There's been very good attendance at our games this year. Certainly, our home atmosphere is as good as anywhere in the country right now. I firmly believe that right there in Hammond.
Yeah, it's come a long ways, man. They have worked extremely hard. Miss Lindsay Kramer has done a good job with her marketing department, and Colton Vickers, our video coordinator as well. They've just done a really good job of interacting video board with baseball people, with non-baseball people. People just enjoy being out on a nice day, pretty day at the ballpark, and obviously all the things that our admin has done for us, obviously what Jay's done for us, Artigues, and just making sure that all that stuff runs right. And Pete Langlois doing the concessions, man. You come there and get some good food, watch hopefully some good baseball, and 9 times out of 10 you do, and obviously interact with the video board as well and get some entertainment out of it. So they've done a fantastic job of building that atmosphere.
Well, Matt, because of the holiday, you are going to play McNeese State in a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, because Easter Sunday, that's one thing the Southland Commerce does. No games on Sunday. It'll be Thursday, Friday, Saturday against the McNeese State Cowboys. This is a team you took 2 out of 3 from a year ago. I know Coach Justin Hill, you've known him a very long time, good friend of yours. They won the regular season a year ago. They've made some improvements to their ballpark over there. They got a good club once again here this year. It seems like every time I read about McNeese, it's the same names they've had for 2 or 3 years. A lot of those guys have been playing a long time for the Cowboys. But I just looked it up. Your team has had a lot of success in the Southland Conference. That's 8 consecutive Southland Conference weekends that you have won, either swept or took 2 out of 3 for. So 8 in a row, going back to the Texas A&M Corpus Christi series a year ago. So your team has found success when it's been needed on the weekends in these conference matchups.
Yeah, and we'll look to do that again. Coach Hill's done a fantastic job over there in Lake Charles of reviving that program. Obviously winning the regular season title last year in year number 4 for him was a huge accomplishment, and unfortunately, unfortunately, they had the same fate we did a few years ago, being that conference champion and not having the RPI or shrink the schedule, whatever the heck they want to put that number next to.
They should have got in.
No doubt. I kicked, I whined, I complained, I screamed, and tell people everywhere that, hey, man, this is a 3-bid league, and no doubt we played the LSU's and all those guys last year, the Vanderbilts, all these guys that were in regional. McNeese was a regional type club last year, but I'll see they're off to a decent start here in the conference play. I think they're with 6-3 or something like that, and they're a tough bunch that plays really well at home. We went over there 2 years ago, played at their place. They jumped on us early. We had that one of those wild and crazy Friday nights where we were down, I think 5 or 6 runs, ended up coming back to win it. And Ron Byers, actually, that was the one he robbed the grand slam.
Yep.
Would have been 9-0. And at the time, didn't seem very significant because it made it 6-0 in the 6th inning, and we come back, we ended up winning that ball game. And long story short, we win a tough series over there.
Starter.
They did.
They had the glasses.
Fontenot. Fontenot. There you go. And they do a good job at their ballpark. You know, they play well. They recruit to their ballpark offensively of the guys that they like inside that stadium. So it'll be a tough weekend. I'll see they'll be after us. They'll want some redemption for the last few years, and we'll definitely get their best shot. And with it being an unconventional weekend, with it being Thursday, Friday, Saturday, this has come up a little bit and asked, hey, man, do you move your guys up? What's the strategy in this? Go a day shorter. We're actually going to go Jaconi on Thursday since, obviously there's only one midweek. There's not a double midweek. I guess that's the silver lining of the double midweek last week. Jaconi can just get an extra day's rest and go on Thursday for us, and then we'll stay with Green and Carlisle Friday, Saturday, so they can stay on their week rest and their regular routine with bullpens and stuff.
So say that again. So the plan, you're going to throw Jaconi on Thursday night.
On game 1, we'll throw Jaconi. Yep, we'll throw Jaconi.
And then Friday night will be Josh Green, and then
yep, and then Friday and then Saturday will be Carlisle.
How does the schedule work? Is it Friday night?
Friday night. Yep, 6-6-3, I believe, on Saturday.
Yeah, so 6-6-3. Just to kind of give you, if you look at McNeese's record, it's a little misleading because Matt just brought up a point. A year ago, they were the conference champs, had a really good team, had a really good record, did not get into the regionals, and it was almost like a decision you made a few years ago. You said, hey, we're not going to ever let that happen to us again. If we go out and have a good record, we're going to get in. And they did that as they had a really tough non-conference.
Yep.
They opened up with Wichita State. They went to Texas State in a weekend series. They also had UTSA come to their park as well. Also frequently games with the Louisiana Tech, Mississippi State, Houston. They have not had, I guess, a quote-unquote easy game yet to this point. They're currently 6-3 in the league and only 9-14, but they started 0-6.
Yeah.
So they're 9-8 in their last 17 against good competition.
Yeah, they've done a good job. You know, he beefed that schedule up because, like you said, he vouched, and a few coaches have done that in our league. You know, I thought Houston Baptist had done that as well, you know, when you look at their overall record. But they had weekends at Baylor and Rice and that kind of stuff, and Fresno State 4-game set. So they weren't taking it easy. Obviously, their midweeks being there in Houston, they've got the Baylors and the Texases and all those guys they can play as well. But, yeah, you know, Wichita State's a good club. They had an open weekend, tough open weekend, kind of put them in a funk, but playing much better baseball since then, like you said. They've got some quality wins there. They beat Mississippi State in a midweek game a few weeks ago, I think whenever we beat LSU, and then they beat Houston as well. So they've got a couple quality wins there. And it's a team that's always going to be able to pitch it, you know, just knowing the history of what McNeese has done. They've got a few arms that can keep the ball game close. They've usually got a closer that can keep the ball game close. If I'm not mistaken, though, they might have moved their closer, very similar like we did, to the starting rotation as well. They've got the Anderson twins. I can't keep up with which one's which anymore. But I think they moved their closer, the Grant Anderson kid, to Friday night as well. So, you know, they're going to have some guys that can pitch on the front end. They've got Provenzano, who's been there, like you said, seems like forever, and Shane Selman, who preseason conference player of the year or first-team all-conference, you know, hitter of the year. He's a really good player, been there for 3 years and done a lot of good things for him. So, yeah, it'll be a tough bunch, man. They're coached right. They handle adversity right. They'll play the right way. So it'll be a fun weekend. As always, man, I like the in-state opponents. You know, being all 4 games this week with in-state opponents, I enjoy it because a lot of the same makeup mentality stuff that we face. We like that type of competition. We like that type of interaction. We want the competitiveness. We want those guys to give us their best shot because we thrive in those moments.
Certainly a big week for you. You know, you look at this thing, and obviously Tulane tomorrow night, your alma mater, and then 3 against McNeese, against Justin Hill, who was on the staff with
Yep.
you. Y'all were together for a long time, so big week for you personally, I guess I would say. So certainly want to get some wins here for the Lions. Again, just schedule this week. Tulane tomorrow night, 6 o'clock first pitch at the Pat in Hammond. Then it'll be Thursday, Friday, Saturday at McNeese. Thursday and Friday night will be 6 o'clock first pitch, and then 3 o'clock on Saturday. No game on Sunday because of Easter Sunday. Let's go ahead and take our final break. When we come back, we'll get some questions for Coach Reiser. We'll get his final thoughts of the night, and we'll wrap it up right here on the Matt Reiser Radio Show, presented by North Oak Health Systems and Buddy's Bar and Grill on the Southeastern Sports Radio Network.
Across divisions, sports, championships, and schools for nearly 500,000 student athletes. College sports create lifelong opportunity, and that starts with education. We've raised the academic bar, so more are earning degrees, creating healthier campuses by working with the nation's brightest minds, and making sure more have the chance to succeed and are supported on their journey. But beyond the numbers, it's about opportunity, and we're working to provide it for every student athlete.
All right, welcome back here to the Matt Reiser Radio Show. We're live at Buddy's Bar and Grill. I'm Alan Waddell. Thank you so much for joining us. We do this each and every Monday night from 7 to 8 o'clock. Myself and the head baseball coach of your Southeastern Lions, Coach Matt Reiser. If you have not made a show, come join us. Lions have a big week this week, a busy week, as tomorrow night Tulane will come to town. The Tulane Green Waves will come to town. Lions will look to go to 2-0 on the Green Wave here in 2018, and then on the weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday at McNeese. It'll be 6 o'clock first pitch on Thursday, 6 o'clock on Friday, and 3 o'clock on Saturday. Lions currently 7-2 in the Southland Conference, 18-9 overall. As let's see here, Matt, I got a couple of questions for you. If you want to send in a question to Coach Reiser, you can do it right there on Twitter. You can send them to, I believe you're at Matt Reiser 17, correct? So at Matt Reiser 17. Give him a follow. Even if you don't want to send a question, you always put some good information out there. I'm at Alan G. Waddell, and we'll do this each and every week. We'll get your thoughts to Coach Reiser. Matt, I got one that comes in here. Let me see if I can get this up here for you. It says, Matt, you're currently 12-3 against McNeese in your career.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I don't know if you knew that. What has been your secret to success against the Cowboys?
That's a good question.
They've had some good teams.
Maybe because we haven't really identified with playing McNeese. No, it's one of those things. I think we've done a really good job against them of playing the full 9 innings. We've done a good job of not getting too high or too low. There's been some moments I can remember in just some of these ball games. We had the wild and crazy one last year. where they tried to protest the DH thing. I don't know if you remember that, where they stayed in town till after midnight and just they kind of rode an emotional roller coaster against us. And that's what happens sometimes with programs that are in the rebuilding phase and obviously get rebuilt, to a point to where they have start having some success is they kind of ride a roller coaster a little bit. They have the highs, they have their lows, and you can't do it. There's going to be moments you're going to hit adversity within the season, and I think that's what we've done a good job of in those games. Whether we've been up big or down big, the guys have done a really good job of just playing 9 innings of baseball and being confident enough to be able to come back and knowing that look, at the end of the day, we've been one of the premier programs the last decade in this conference, and we have confidence late in ball games playing in conference opponents, knowing that we've been one of the best programs in the conference the last 10 years, and I think our guys do a good job of that. They identify with that, and so they don't get down. When we get down, we're okay. Hey, we got a really good shot at coming back. You know why? Because history's on our side, and we're a good club, and they're confident in those moments and some of the heated competition. We've been there so many times in the last decade, opposed to a program like McNeese that is, obviously putting themselves in that situation. This is no knock on them because they're a really good club, and what Justin's done over there has been absolutely phenomenal, but we've just had more opportunities to be in those situations, where our program was 4 years ago, not getting the NCAA regional, getting left at that large bid, win the conference they did last year. So it's just a few years ahead of time compared to them, so maybe that's where we've had some of that success.
All right, Matt, another question comes in. It says, Coach Reiser, you talked about it earlier on the show about the closer position. Yeah. Can you specify why you don't really want to land on one guy?
We had the one guy early, and we've just got to get him back to form, and that's Evan Howman. Josh Green was the guy last year with Evan Howman. Josh was coming off the injury early in the season, so Hellman emerged as that guy. Then Howman went out with the injury, so Green became that guy, and then all of a sudden Howman comes back healthy, and we do it with both of them there at the end of the year. So we made this move. Howman's still that guy. We just want to get him confident back on what he's doing. We know what he can do at the end of the ball games when he's confident and who he is and what he is. And so until he gets to that moment, gets to that point to do that again for us, it's going to be kind of by committee, by the most confident dude we got at the moment in time. And I tell you one that has really emerged a little bit has been Jared Biddy. We like him on the backside of Josh Green, but man, he's come in and handled some big moments for us and pitched some big innings for us. And I think of the LSU ball game when it had a chance to get kind of extended there on that Sunday. He comes in and kind of closes the door and calms everything down. Next thing you know, you look up, you're in a 4-2 ball game with the Tigers with a winning run, coming on up to the plate. They're late in the ball game. So Jared Biddy's been one of those guys who's kind of emerged and will have the ability to emerge late in the season as well.
We just have a few minutes left to go here on our show. If you're just joining us and you say, man, I wish I'd have caught this earlier and I could have heard what Matt's been talking about for the last hour, you can. You just go to, if you go to the Southeastern Louisiana University Athletics Facebook page, you can go there and an archived version of our show is there. So Colton Vickers is here and he is streaming this, so you can go back there and watch the archive version if you want to hear all that Matt has had to talk about here tonight. I think you can go all the way back to the first show we ever did. If you want to hear what Matt talked about his first show of the year.
3 weeks ago.
Yeah, 3 weeks ago. You can do that. As we're here every Monday night from 7 to 8 o'clock. Matt, we have just a couple of minutes left to go here on our show. It's been another great night to be with you, to hear from you and what's going on inside of your program. I want to get you to, I guess, kind of catch us up a little bit on your thoughts. You're 18-9 overall. You're 7-2 in the Southland Conference. Where are you right now? I mean, again, we're almost to that midway point. After Thursday night game, we're going to be at the midway point of the 56-game season. Where are you at compared to maybe some other clubs you've had and, pushing this thing towards another postseason run?
This has been a different year, and I think a big part of this is because we're so front-end loaded on the schedule. We discussed it a little bit, but I don't think people realize what kind of grind this has been on our club, and to have success like we have through the schedule we've had, not only the opponents we've played, but just through how many ball games we played each and every week, and not really having a night off. And it was funny because I was telling my wife the other night, hey, I'm gonna be home a lot early in the season, so I'll be able to hang out a little bit more than what we normally do. Where we were on the road last year, that 10-game stretch or 10-day stretch, we went to Vandy and Rice and all that kind of good stuff in Pensacola. I haven't had the time. And so I know if I haven't had time, I know the guys haven't had the time to kind of sit back and just kind of reflect a little bit. It's been just go, 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 go. So, and this week is going to be very similar to that because we obviously play tomorrow night. Wednesday is going to be a quick, light practice day because we play Thursday, Friday, Saturday again. So it'll be a good week to finish off. I think it's vital for us to get through this week, have a lot of success this week, continue the energy we brought on Sunday through this week, and then Sunday's going to be an awesome kind of reset button. Hey, you're at the halfway point from as far as games played. Now we still got more weeks. It's the schedule's front end loaded, so we won't have some midweeks there for a couple weeks at the end of the year, which should keep us very fresh. Which I'm kind of excited to see where we're at, especially when you talk about Mason Canop and Corey Ciccone or Kay Grani joining the bullpen as opposed to having to pitch in the midweek games. But get to Sunday, get a chance to have some family time and enjoy and hit that reset button, kind of get that that second boost. Catch that second win a little bit to really hammer down that second half of the season because we all know when we talked about it, we want to play our best baseball at the end of the year. Also, we're not to that point. I think some things are building that direction. But this is a good week to really have a solid week to start tomorrow night against Tulane. Build some confidence, obviously, for the weekend. Kind of get the hitters back in their groove they were in 2 weeks ago, and really feel good about ourselves going into a nice holiday break there and some family time there on Sunday.
Let's kind of sum up the night here as we're going to get ready to say goodbye here in just a few moments. We want to thank everybody who's joined us tonight. Certainly, this show would not be possible without our listeners and also all of the affiliates in the area that gets us up on the air each and every week so we can get Matt's voice to you guys so you can hear about everything that's going on inside Lion baseball. We really appreciate certainly the attendance that we've seen at the games this year. Again, it's been a tremendous atmosphere for Lion baseball each and every night. And there's no different tomorrow night as the Lions will host Tulane. That's always a big game whenever the Green Wave come to town, come to Hammond. Again, it's faculty and staff appreciation night. So if you're a faculty or staff member of Southeastern Louisiana University, you get a discounted ticket price. And also they're going to have fireworks at the Pat, fireworks after the game. Hopefully it's after a Lion win. As also, if you haven't seen the light show, it's certainly nice to see at the Pat. Just kind of reset the schedule for you again. Tulane tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. Mason Canop is on the mound. So Mason Canop will pitch tomorrow night against Tulane. And then again, a little bit different series this weekend as Thursday, Friday, Saturday against McNeese over in Lake Charles. It's another big Southland Conference weekend as the Lions are 7-2 in the conference. McNeese is 6-3, so it's a big kind of a measuring stick weekend for the club. And everybody's still kind of chasing Sam Houston. Sam Houston was off this weekend from the conference. They're 6-0. So Thursday night, 6 o'clock, Southeastern is not going to mess with their pitching rotation. So Corey Ciccone is going to go on Thursday night to kind of stay in that role he's been in, pitching that second game of the midweek, it seemed like every week. And then Friday night it will be Josh Green against McNeese. And then Saturday will be
Carlisle
Kessler.
There you go.
Don't
forget that one. I'll make sure that one's on the bus.
No doubt. And hopefully,
I'll tell you that.
And hopefully Carlisle will bounce back. He's been so good this year. Didn't have his best stuff this past week against Houston Baptist, but he has been dominant. Had a sub-1 ERA going into last week against Houston Baptist. Matt, we're pretty much out of time. Your final thoughts of the night as we get ready for the Green Wave tomorrow night.
Yeah, it's one of those deals, man. I'm proud of the guys, the way they bounced back. Again, it was a tough week last week, and but if we're going to end it on the note we did, I thought we did a really good job of that yesterday, and really look forward to building that momentum, man. We've got the right guys. We've got the right talent. We've got the right mental fortitude. We've got the right leadership. So I'm excited to see these guys kind of here on this back half of the season. It's going to be a fun week, exciting week for us, and we would love to have you out there to Pat, root these boys on because they are working hard for you for sure.
All right, well, that's it for us as we want to say goodbye here tonight and invite you next Monday night to Buddy's Bar and Grill from 7 to 8 o'clock for the Matt Reiser Radio Show. For Coach Matt Reiser, I'm Alan Waddell. We'll see you next time as this show, again, is sponsored by North Oaks Health System and Buddy's Bar and Grill on the Southeastern Sports Radio Network. Line up, everybody.
You've been listening to the Matt Reiser Radio Show on the Southeastern Sports Radio Network. The Matt Reiser Radio Show is a product of Lion Sport Properties. More information on how you can support future broadcasts is available through Lion Sport Properties at area code 985-549-2570.